My name is Lieutenant Michael Chula, and welcome to my presentation on modernizing police hiring. This presentation focuses on several critical areas. This includes recruitment strategies, optimizing test timing, refining physical agility standards, improving psychological evaluations, and streamlining background investigations. By leveraging analytics and modern methods, we can address challenges and improve outcomes in police hiring. This project analyzes the Rochester Police Department's recruitment and civil service processes to improve efficiency, enhance candidate quality, and optimize resource use. This project will evaluate survey data to assess the impact of recruitment messaging and incorporate data from all stages of the hiring process, from the moment a candidate applies to the completion of the background investigation, to identify strategies for refining recruitment and retention. Through statistical analysis and visual data representation, this project provides evidence-based recommendations with the goal of hiring high-quality police candidates. The Rochester Police Department is currently facing a staffing crisis. We have 102 sworn vacancies out of 722 budgeted positions. In addition to running at roughly 86% of full staffing, we have another 50 that are out sick or injured. That brings our sworn workforce to 570. Which means on the best of days we can operate at 79% of our budgeted strength. This has caused such tremendous amounts of overtime that even the money saved by carrying 102 vacancies no longer covers the bill. Last year, for the first time in decades, the police department went over its budget and had to go to the city council to request more funds prior to the end of the fiscal year. The worst part about this problem is that it's only growing. In New York State, police are eligible to retire after 20 years of service. To estimate future retirements, we can look back at how many officers were hired 20 years ago. In 2005, the Rochester Police Department hired 51 officers. In 2006, the number was 86. In 2007, it was 48. In 2008, it was 72, and in 2009, it was 44. If hiring remains flat at an average of 25 officers per year spread out over 2 academies, vacancies will grow substantially over the next 5 years, culminating in 278 vacancies in the year 2029. That's nearly 40% of the department. Simply put, operating without a substantial increase in hiring is not sustainable. Recruitment is the foundation of an effective hiring process. Traditional recruitment strategies often fail to reach a diverse or adequately skilled applicant pool. Data from the Police Executive Research Forum shows that 66% of agencies report losing more officers than they can recruit. To counteract this, the Rochester Police Department has begun utilizing broad, multi-channel messaging and data analytics to target candidates effectively. By understanding which platforms and messages attract the most qualified candidates, we can allocate resources more efficiently. The bar graphs on this slide were created with survey data collected at the police written exam. The surveys were taken during the last 2 written exams in the spring and fall of 2024. Both city website and family and friends were on the original survey conducted in the spring, but not on the survey conducted in the fall. Television was also added to the full survey, as the Rochester Police Department ran an ad during the Olympics. Even though the surveys aren't exactly the same, there are still some trends that can be identified. For example, digital media like YouTube and Instagram far outpaces the traditional media of radio and television. However, advertisements that are found outside the home, such as billboards and posters, as well as in-person contact, shown through officer referrals and family and friends, account for the majority in their respective years. The great majority of the candidates reside in Rochester, but there was a substantial increase in those from outside the Rochester, Buffalo, and Syracuse region. This could be a promising indicator guiding future recruitment efforts to new locations. Effective messaging is key to recruitment success. Analyzing message effectiveness involves testing different content styles to identify what resonates most with potential recruits. Messaging must also address concerns such as physical demands and career stability to align expectations with reality. Using test groups and analytics, we can fine-tune our outreach, ensuring that messages are both inclusive and targeted. The line graph on this slide shows the number of candidates that applied to take the Rochester Police Civil Service test in each testing cycle over the last 2 years. The Rochester Police Department participates in the state testing program and traditionally only holds tests in the fall. However, due to statewide hiring concerns after COVID, the state allowed the Rochester Police Department to hold an additional test in the spring. The test held in the spring of 2023 was the first, and the lower number of applicants reflect that. In the spring of 2024, the Rochester Police Department launched an aggressive recruitment campaign featuring our high pay and excellent benefits, pictured below. Applications for the police written exam rose sharply to the number of applications we normally see in the fall. After a series of focus groups in fall 2024, the Rochester Police Department implemented a more action-oriented recruitment campaign, pictured on the right. Although the messaging and images tested well in focus groups, they failed to increase the number of applicants to the written exam. The timing of the parts of the civil service process impacts candidate attendance and retention. The chart on this slide shows the number of applicants that participated in each part of the civil service hiring process over the last 5 testing cycles. In the fall of 2022, due to the need to score the written exam prior to inviting applicants to the agility, the physical agility exam took place approximately 5 months after the written exam. As the chart shows highlighted in red, this caused nearly 75% of applicants to drop from the process. In direct response to that, the fall of 2023, the department held the physical agility the same weekend as the written exam. Although this dramatically increased the show rate between the written and the agility, it caused a greater number of people who had applied to not show up for the written exam. The exam held in the spring of 2024 benefited from a more aggressive recruitment campaign. However, a staggering 72% of all police candidates failed the psychological exam. The fall 2024 exam has just occurred, and so far it seems to be a perfect storm of applicants not showing up for the written exam, a drop of nearly 61%, and only 34% passing the agility. Although this percentage is in line with the last 5 exam cycles, historically the rate of passage for the physical agility has been much higher. Taking into account all of the data on the previous slide, this line graph shows the average number of applicants for each step in the hiring process, as well as the expected average based on historic rates of passage. As we can see, historically we would be hiring close to 340% more applicants. However, even hiring 44 applicants a year would simply not be enough. Making changes to the civil service process will allow us to increase the number of applicants we hire, but it is far more important to increase the number of applicants that enter into the process through recruitment. As the timeline on this slide shows, the current physical agility standards were adopted after 3 major pieces of legislation. The first applicable law was Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. In 1978, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission issued uniform guidelines on employee selection procedures. In 1990, the Americans with Disabilities Act was passed with a specific prohibition against discrimination towards individuals. It requires that selection criteria be both job-related and consistent with business necessity. Since the adoption of the gendered Cooper Fitness Standards in 1996, 2 more pieces of legislation passed in New York State that may affect the standards. The Gender Expression Non-Discrimination Act, effective February 24th of 2019, prohibits discrimination based on gender identity or expression. The Gender Recognition Act allows New Yorkers to use a non-binary designation on their driver's license. This most recent legislation means the use of binary physical fitness standards to gain employment as a police officer may discriminate against a protective class based on gender identity or expression. Although standards must be changed, they are still an important part of the civil service process. According to a study of Massachusetts Municipal Police Academies conducted from 2015 to 2016, the physical agility standards were successfully validated as predictors of academy graduation. According to another study published in 2021 and illustrated in the chart pictured here, 2 of the top 3 reasons why candidates are unable to pass the academy is failing to meet physical standards or injury and illness. This inability to pass the academy not only bears with it a cost for staffing, but a financial cost as well. According to New York State Academy data gathered between 2019 and 2021, the cost per candidate is $35,000. An average of 58.66 candidates resigned or were terminated based predominantly on their inability to complete the performance aspects of training during that 3-year period. This cost to participating agencies was over $2 million. The New York City Police Department has recently adopted the Job Standard Test. It's a timed event comprising 6 stations that together must be completed in 4 minutes and 28 seconds, regardless of gender or age. As the previous chart showed, In the spring of 2024, the Rochester Police Department lost 72% of their applicants to a failure of the psychological exam. This slide shows the current recommendations that the psychologist can give to the police applicants for the Rochester Police Department. Applicants who are recommended or recommended with reservations continue on to the background investigation. Those that are not recommended are dropped from the process. However, many local agencies use a different set of recommendations. Many local police agencies in this area use a letter grade system rather than the three-tiered system used by the Rochester Police Department. The C- marginally suitable recommendation would be not recommended under the three-tiered system. Using letter grades, agencies are recommended to background C- applicants further to see if data supports the psychologist's concerns prior to making a hiring decision. Although this could have the effect of widening the applicant pool, caution must be exercised when considering this change to the psychological standards. We need not look any further than the brutal murder of Tyree Nichols at the hands of Memphis police officers that had not been backgrounded properly. However, if the background investigation is of the highest quality and background investigators are given the proper resources and supervision, changes like these should be considered. Background investigations are often the most time-consuming part of the hiring process. Over the past 4 hiring processes, the background investigation has undergone several changes. Prior to my tenure in the professional development section, the background investigation would take on average 84 hours. Once officers were asked to report on the number of hours they were working on their investigation, that average was reduced to 52. Once a system of daily monitoring was put in place, the average background investigation took 36 hours. Due to staffing shortages, there was a background process that had to be conducted solely on overtime. The average length of a background investigation during that time was 30 hours. As any supervisor who has overseen investigators can tell you, they do their best work on overtime. Although doing all backgrounds on overtime is not feasible, by combining increased supervision with new technologies such as automated document analysis and online reference checks, agencies can dramatically reduce investigation times. Departments must maintain rigorous standards while reducing bottlenecks. This ensures quicker hiring decisions and better resource allocation. My recommendations for improving the police hiring process include several targeted strategies based on best practices and data analysis. First, expanding recruitment efforts by going wide, which involves traveling to key locations such as New York City and Atlanta to actively engage and attract a diverse pool of potential candidates. Following these trips, we would invite interested applicants to a consolidated single weekend of testing, streamlining the process and reducing scheduling conflicts. For physical agility assessments, I recommend adopting the job standard test utilized in New York City. This test better reflects the real-world demands of law enforcement, ensuring candidates are evaluated on relevant and practical skills. In terms of psychological evaluations, I propose implementing a letter-graded system to provide clearer insights into candidate suitability. This grading approach adds transparency and structure, aiding in more informed decision-making. Finally, leveraging new background investigation technologies will significantly enhance efficiency. By incorporating automated tools and advanced analytics, we can streamline this traditionally time-consuming step without compromising thoroughness. Together, these recommendations offer practical and impactful improvements to the hiring process. So, what's next? First, a deeper dive into the existing data. During our last recruitment campaign, the various mediums we utilized garnered us 6,005,070 views. By analyzing the number of officers hired, we can see that 6,210 views gave us one application for the written exam, and that 348,119 views produced one police officer. These numbers need to be delved into further to inform future campaigns. Next, the City of Rochester should explore obtaining a local exam. This would give us far more flexibility than the state process currently allows. Finally, more research needs to be done into transferring lateral officers. If they can be properly vetted, they are a valuable source of available police officers. Thank you for listening to this presentation.